The Meccan Illuminations, also known as the Meccan Revelations, by Muhi-e-Din Ibn Arabi. Translation by Muhammad Al-Amrani. In the name of God, the most compassionate, the most merciful. The first part of the Meccan Illuminations. The discourse of the book. Meditations upon the reality of being. 1. All praise is due to God, who brought all things into being out of a knowledge and made their very existence dependent upon the turning of his word, so that thereby the mystery of their origination in time and their pre-existence in his eternity might be realized. And at this point of realization we pause to comprehend that which has been proclaimed unto us by the sincerity of his heart. 2. Thus he, glorified is he, became manifest, and he manifested and brought into manifestation. And he was never hidden, yet he became inward and caused inwardness. And he affirmed for himself the first name through the existence of the servant's essence, which had already been established for him. And he affirmed for himself the last name through the decree of annihilation and passing away, which had likewise been established for him before that. 3. For were it not for the one who presses, and the one who is contemporary, the one who makes, and the one who mends, none would have ever known the meaning of his name, the first and the last, the inward and the outward. Even though his most beautiful names follow this most exalted path, yet between them lies a disparity in stations, which becomes evident when means are sought for the descent of calamities. For the servant of the all-forbearing is not the servant of the all-generous, nor is the servant of the all-forgiving the servant of the all-appreciative. Thus, for every servant there is a name which is his Lord, and he is its body, and that name is his heart. For he is the all-knowing, glorified is he who knows and is known, the judge who judges and is judged, the powerful who decrees and for whom it is decreed, the powerful who ordains and acquires and is not determined. 5. And he is the ever-abiding, in whom the attribute of abiding does not inhere, the Holy One in the witnessing, beyond confrontation and reception. Rather, the servant in that most pure abode attains to transcendence, not as an instrument, glorified and exalted is he, for in that most pure station anthropomorphism would attach to him. Thus, the descent is from the servant, in that presence, unto the dimensions, and from him the turning away ceases when the gaze is fixed upon him. 6. And when this reality set me upon my journey, I recited, according to the rule of the created path, the Lord is truth, and the servant is truth. Oh, would that I knew who is the one obligated! If you say a servant, then that one is dead. Or if you say a lord, then how can he be obligated? 7. For he, glorified is he, obeys his own self, if he so wills, through his creation, and his self is described by that which is appointed for it as its due obligation. Thus there are naught but empty spectres upon thrones fallen to ruin. And in the returning of the echo lies a secret of that to which we have alluded, for whoever is guided. 8. And this is denied by the gratitude of one who has realized that through moral obligation the name the worshipped was made manifest, and through the existence of the reality that there is no strength and no power save in God, the reality of generosity became manifest. For otherwise, if you were to make paradise a reward for what you have done, then where is the divine generosity which you have comprehended? For you are, by the knowledge of your God, gifted to your like, and by the knowledge of your own origin you are veiled. If, then, that by which you seek recompense is not yours, how do you perceive your own deed? 9. Therefore leave all things to their Creator, and all shimmering illusions to their polisher. For he is the giver. Glorified is he who never tires, the King whose dominion is mighty and majestic, the subtle with his servants, the all-aware, who is as nothing that is like unto him, and he alone is all-hearing, all-seeing. 42:11. Meditations upon the Muhammadan reality. 10. And blessings be upon the secret of the cosmos and its quintessence, the quest of the world and its desire, the truthful master, the one in need of his Lord, the one who knocks at the door, the one through whom the 7 paths were traversed, so that he who caused him to journey by night might show him what he had deposited of signs and realities, and how wondrous are the creations. He whom I witnessed when I composed this discourse in the world of imaginal realities, in the presence of majesty, a heartfelt unveiling in a presence of the unseen. 11. And when I beheld him, may God's blessings and peace be upon him, in that world a master infallible in his aims, protected in his witnessings, victorious and supported. And all the messengers standing arrayed before him, and his community, which is the best of communities, gathered around him, and the angels of subjugation thronging about the throne of his station, and the angels of support from all deeds drawn up in ranks before him. 12. And the most truthful one, Al-Siddiq, at his most precious right hand, and the distinguisher, Al-Faruq, at his most holy left. And the seal of saints knelt before him, informing him of the discourse of the feminine. And Ali, may God's blessings and peace be upon him, translates from the seal with his tongue. And the possessor of the 2 lights, a flame in the mantle of his modesty, is intent upon his own affair. 13. Then I felt awe for the most glorious master, the sweetest and most permitted spring, the most unveiled and resplendent light. He saw me behind the seal, due to a shared quality in judgment between myself and him. So the master said to him, "This is your servant, your son, and your intimate friend. Prepare for him the pulpit of the glances between your hands." Then he gestured to me, "Arise, O Muhammad, upon it, for it pertains to the one who sent me and to me. For within you is a tree from me, which cannot endure to be without me. It is the sovereign in your essence, and it does not return to me except with your entirety. And it must needs return to the encounter, for it is not of the world of wretchedness. And nothing from me after its desire was a thing within a thing, except a master, and he was among those who were distinguished and who prostrated in the celestial assembly." 14. So the seal set up the pulpit in that most radiant scene, and upon the circumference of its forehead was written in the most luminous light, "This is the purest Muhammadan station. Whoever ascends to it has inherited it, and the truth has sent him as a guardian of the sanctity of the divine law and its face." And I was gifted at that moment with the talents of wisdom, until it was as if I had been given the comprehensive words. So I thank God, almighty and majestic, and bound up its highest part. And I stood in the place of his standing, may God's blessings and peace be upon him, and at his level. And upon the step where I was, the sleeve of a white shirt was spread out, and I stood upon it, so that I would not touch directly the place that he, may God's blessings and peace be upon him, had touched with his feet, as a way of exalting and honouring him, and as an admonition and instruction to us that the station he witnessed from his Lord is not witnessed by the inheritors except from behind his garment. And were it not for that, we would have unveiled what he unveiled, and we would have known what he knew. 15. Do you not see those who follow his traces to learn his story? So you, do not witness from the path of his wayfaring what he witnessed from it, nor do you know how to report the stripping away of attributes from him. For he witnessed, for instance, a level ground having no attribute, and he walked upon it, and you, upon his trace, witness nothing but the mark of his holiness. And here lies a hidden secret for one who has searched for it and reached it, which is that because he is an imam and leadership has come to him, he sees no trace and does not know it. For you have unveiled what he does not unveil, and this station became manifest in the denial of Moses, may peace be upon our master and upon him, regarding Al-Khidr. 16. The servant said, So when I stood in that most exalted station before him, who, on the night of his ascension, was at a distance of 2 bow lengths, or even nearer, 53:9, from his Lord, I stood, establishing a lofty station. Then I was supported by the Holy Spirit, and began extemporaneously with that which descended of signs and prophets sent down upon the landmarks of all things, so that I might be for Muhammad, your seal, one who gathers together the return journey of felicity and adversity. Then I alluded to him. May God's blessings and peace be upon him. And this master is the interstice whom you have stripped from the cycle of the caliphs. And I made him the noble origin, and Adam was between his created form and the water, and his expenditures continued until his time had revolved, and his end bent back to his beginning. And I established him as a humble, lowly servant, conversing with you for an age through the vapour of his inner heat, until Gabriel, specified for the bringing of news, came to him as a bearer of glad tidings from your presence. He said, Peace be upon you. You are Muhammad, the secret of the servants and the seal of the prophets. O my master, shall I speak plainly? He said to me, You have spoken truth, for you are the shadow of my mantle. So be a steadfast coat of mail in the praise of your Lord, for you have indeed been granted the realities of things, and unveil for us the mystery of your Lord's affair, which has been illuminated for your protected heart in the darknesses, from every truth established by a reality, which comes to you as a possession without purchase. The subsistence of the cosmos and the manifestation of beings. 17. Then I commenced to speak with the tongue of the cosmos. So I said, and I gestured toward him, May God's blessings and peace be upon him. I have been told by the one who sent down upon you the treasured book, which none but the purified can touch. 56:79. Sent down with the beauty of your likeness, your transcendence above all blights, and your sanctification. And he said in the Surah of Nun, In the name of God, the most merciful, the dispenser of grace. None. By the pen and by all that they inscribe. By the grace of thy sustainer thou art not one possessed. And truly thine shall be a reward never failing. For truly thou art of a sublime moral character. And thou wilt see, and they will see. 68:1-5. 18. Then he dipped the pen of will into the ink of knowledge, and inscribed with the right hand of power upon the guarded tablet all that has been, all that is, and all that shall be, and that which shall not be, which, had he willed, and he does not will, it to be how it would have been, all from his known and measured decree, and his noble and treasured knowledge. Limitless in his glory is thy sustainer, the Lord of all might, above all that they attribute unto him. 37:1-20. That is God, the one, the unique. Exalted is he above what the polytheists associate with him. 19. So the first name that the most sublime pen wrote, to the exclusion of all other names, was, Verily, I desire to create for your sake, O Muhammad, the world which is your kingdom. So I shall create. 49. Then he created their lock, without the veil of the most sublime instance. And I was, as I had ever been, with naught beside me, in a cloud of utter mystery. Then he, the sublime, created the water with a frozen coolness, like a jewel in its roundness and its whiteness, and he vested within it, in potentiality, the essences of all bodies and the forces of all contingent properties. 20. Then he created the throne and established himself thereon. 20. He set up the pedestal, and the 2 feet descended towards it. Then he gazed upon that jewel with the eye of majesty, and it dissolved out of modesty, its parts disintegrating and flowing as water. And his throne was upon the water. 11. And this was before the existence of the earth and the heavens. And there is nothing in existence in that state but the realities pertaining to the level of the divine and the spiritual. He let loose the soul, and it surged with the waves of his might and his grandeur, and I became the praiseworthy, praised one. When the wrestler grips the waist of his opponent, the truth drew me near and said unto me, I am I. Then he let me go, and the mighty one yearned for his wrestling ground, and turned his face toward the shore, to await me. For he is the hidden one in everything, the one who encompasses all things. 21. He established himself, he the sublime, in that water from the intensity of the longing and from the dust of the soul. He exhaled a breath of compassion from which he formed a smoke, like the smoke of a fire that erupted from the earth, and then he split it asunder. Therein he fashioned the orbits of the celestial spheres, and he made the sublime assembly of angels to revolve within them. The stars were set as their adornments, their towers adorned with the blossoms of luminous gardens. 22. And he stood alone, he the exalted, for Adam and his sons, his abode having been cleansed of all semblance and all likeness. He established the truth of his corporeality and erased its resemblances. He made the acceptance of his hands a condition, and made this nascent being a point of existence, and he enriched it from his own eye, after he'd informed his servants about it in his saying that it may sail under our eyes. 44. When the transition from the isthmus to the human realm occurred, the heavens split asunder, and they were like a fire of flowing crimson. 23. Whoever understands from these allusions what we have mentioned of them will know that we have made it a condition that there be neither how nor resemblance. As for being and non-being, they cannot subsist without a child, and an it is cannot be without a child. The meaning of he begets not, 112, is that he has not willed that he be a child, and the meaning of nor is he begotten, 112, is that he is the possessor of the kingdom. It becomes clear to you that whatever holds a thing must possess it, for a kingdom must have a king who governs it, and from whomever he enables to hold it, he is its holder. And whatever you find that is not held by its like, then it is the truth. 24. And the inner realities of the elect and the saints were made to see, and at the cupboard of their souls the truths of the unseen were seized. They are those between nothingness and existence, and they are in the state of creation, the end of ends, the bliss of guidance, a picture of the most merciful, between the opposition of existence and the path of the felicitous journey upon which rests the manifestation of the misery of negation and the bliss of affirmation. And for this the bearer of the truth of this felicity said, it is they who hasten to all good works, and it is they who are foremost in them. 3. Referring to that secret of existence, the Wujudiyya. And in the realm of things, so blessed be God, the best of creators. 23. 14. He alludes to that divine mercy, Adamiyah. For the gift of these realities appeared upon our world, which the wayfarer traverses with speed and delight. And that speed and that delight have informed us that the mercy of God is upon you, O messenger of God. Thus is the lineage of the narrator traced back to you. 25. Then he, the sublime, established his proof upon creation, in accordance with the number of his prophets and his servants. He manifested the angels tasked with conveying his messages to them, making for each a reality from among his prophets and his servants, and his knowledge, and made for him a minister, a guardian of his secret and his wisdom. For among the verities are those whose contemplation of their own self has veiled them from their name, and they were among the deniers. And among them are those whom God has chosen from the essence of his names, and he has taken them as intimate friends, and confirmed his proof between himself and the angels, and made him his imam, and among the prostrating was he. 26. Then from the first gate he brought forth the lights of the celestial poles, a praise in the orbits of the stations. And he brought forth the lights of the substitutes, a praise in the orbits of the noble ranks. And he established the pegs of the 4 pillars, by which the lads are preserved. They removed the veils from the beginning of the earth and its movements, and it was adorned with the splendour of its plants, and their fragrances wafted, and the gazes of created beings were delighted by the beauty they beheld, and their thoughts were refreshed by their breezes. 53. And their sacred realms, they turned their gaze towards the supreme goal. Then he sent down the angels as emissaries, a wise ruler upon them, a seal upon all realms, a guardian for every clime, and he made them protectors of the 2 times. 27. When the knower established the ultimate aim of perfection, and there remained none more eloquent than he, as our master Abu Zayd, may God have mercy upon him, said of perfection, "It is an indication from you in your assembly, for if God were in your assembly, it would not be a crime. So upon you be the peace of God, O you who are the realities of the universes." Since this truth has now extended over all preceding realities, so that they are no longer before it, and over all that will come after it. 54 illuminations. 28. Thus the realities of the horizons were in conformity with the realities of knowledge. For whosoever is with a thing is not other than it. And the realities were submerged in the sea of knowledge, as though the reality was abstracted from the dominion of this law. It was as though it had no existence in its own being, and it is until now as it was in the knowledge of its knower. This good encompassed that which is manifest about the truth and all of creation. It doesn't present the multiplicity of causes and effects, for it brings forth fathers and attributes, and the states that indicate their various distinctions. For were it not for the link between the beginning and the end, and the correct acquisition that encompasses everything, where one knows from another, you would not say that one thing is confirmed by the judgment of another. And this is but the desire of the Lord and the servant and myself. And it is from this subtle point that he who desires to know himself in existence, yet whose reality is that of the servant, it is seen that the essence of the previous speech is one, complete, true. So for man to be ignorant, and to strive to be in a garden of darkness, wherein there is no shadow and no good. 29. As for the truth that I understood from the world, and what I understood of it from the encompassing celestial sphere, the one present in the world of composite and simple form, and what resembles it of the face I found. 55. What resembled him in his water and his air, they were as a flock of sentences opened therein. Thus the Lord of existence manifested himself, and the light from the presence of the King was unveiled. And what a flood of light that was! His eternal forms appeared, their inner and outer aspects, their faces and their adornments, their ancient knowledges and their sublime sciences, their beginnings and their endings, their souls and their spiritual natures, their nations and their tribes. 30. God has said, and his word is truth. Verily, we have pointed out the signs for you in your spiritual selves, as he pointed them out to Adam. Peace be upon him in that clay. We are in that gathering, he and his elements and his progeny. As for the reality of his being, it is essentially of two matters, so it cannot be a command of one thing, nor a consequence of two introductions. Is it not true that his existence, he, the sublime, is by virtue of the truth, and his being, that he is powerful, established, watchful, described? Have you devoted yourself to a command without a will, and a known without a knower? 31. Then it is incumbent upon him who wishes for insight and solitude of faith that he not be of two selves, for if a thing becomes other than what he knows from his becoming, 56 illuminations to unveil the deepest realities and the knowledge of the described and the describer. You must ask, may God's peace and blessings be upon you, whether the belief is valid, and the acceptance of the saying and the manifestation of the side. You shall bear witness that there is no God but he, a testimony without permission and without allowance. Your knowledge, may God's peace and blessings be upon you, is a reality from him, for its being is from him before you received it from the heaven. 32. Then, after God wills, he is exalted, the worlds of density and subtlety, and the preparation of the honourable station, he sent down upon it the temperate nature. And he made, he is sublime, its duration in this world 6,000 years, and with us it is completed by the end of its annihilation and non-existence. Then it will pass from the world of the isthmus to the plains of gathering, and turn its quest towards the truths flying to all souls and their creation in it. The birds fly in that state, as will be their state in the hereafter. The spirits are seen in the dominion of the souls, and the search for the resurrection from the graves is halted in its creation. And that is dependent on the person's image of his Lord, the market of subtleties and beneficence. 57:33. Then look, may God have mercy upon you, towards Adam, in that blessed white clay in which the seed of the fathers was placed, and look towards the pure light, and you will indicate the foremost father from whom the Muslims were born. And look to the refuge of the words and the Son, and you will point, by God's permission, to what the text has brought. And look to the beauty of the soul with a pure gaze, and you will point, from the fount of the text, to the ruby. And look towards the golden ruby in the darkness, and you will point, from the fullness of speech, to the speaker. 34. Whoever is guided to these lights and reaches by them what his path reveals of secrets, then his station has indeed been known, and the station of the first and the last has become clear to him, and he has a mosque, for he is the Lord and the Beloved. 35. Then look at the secret of existence and be, for we have said the ancient state is manifest, for the thing in the light is naught but its effects. Look into the eye of the absolute existent. 58. Illuminations. Verily, the radiance which is from his existence from eternity is a truth whose existence is not diminished. Or the secret of his being is that he is from another's loss, and yet he was not diminished. 36. Then the signs appeared, and their time was set, yet their power was not vast enough, nor did most of creation know the way to bring them into being. So they left them upon their heads, suspended, out of fear of placing wisdom in a place other than its own. Then, from that prophetic scene, I was brought down to the lowest celestial sphere. Thus I made the sacred house the nature of the book, and began to perfect it, and then began to speak, ordering the gates, and all praise be to God, the giver of divine openings. A message to Sheikh Abd al-Aziz al-Mahdaw. Continuation of the discourse. A message to Sheikh Abd al-Aziz al-Mahdaw. 37. This is a message I conveyed unto one of the spiritual poor. May God be well pleased with him. Now, as to what follows, when my body reached the beauteous Kaaba, and the rank of sonship was attained, and I performed the running and the circling, and at its station my polishing was perfected, and I was informed of the divine decree, by him who decreed this act an incumbent duty that awaited one, the seal of the prophets. And there my heart beheld the noble host of angels, and Adam, and became one of their companions. And unto Adam was born a rising chieftain, vast of fabric, the most generous of the generous. And all were circling the inviolable house, veiled within the black vestment. The first of its cloaks is let down to show you, in that proud gate, the loftiness of the majestic. Yet the noble host of angels refused to be thus adorned, proceeding with the faintest whisper of a sign. And the servant, before his father, stands with bowed head in the manner of the well-mannered, with Gabriel at my side. He imparts the sacred landmarks and the rites as a service to my father, that he may bequeath them unto his sons. 38. And I marvelled at them, how all have gone astray through the corruption of our father and the shedding of blood. For he veiled them with the darkness of their clay from the radiance his names contained. And he appeared with a light that none else can perceive, yet within it they are among the witnesses. For our Father was a station that gathered both the saints and the adversaries, and he saw that deification and prophethood had come unwillingly, without desire or purity. And by the very thing through which his opposites were established, they judged him with harshness and cruelty. And he came forth saying, I am the Messiah, the one who has never ceased to serve you morning and evening. And I am the sanctified one, the very essence of your glorious light. Yet they met my father with all manner of harshness, for they saw only the side of the north, and did not perceive in him the right hand of the white grasp. And they saw their own souls as a brute, primal matter, and saw him as a lord seeking dominion. Because of a reality that gathered for him names from that which was exclusively granted to the beloved on the night of the Ascension. And they saw the accursed one contending with his host, gazing upon him with an eye of malice. A message to Sheikh Abd al-Aziz al-Mahdawi. Continuation of the discourse. And within our father's essence was a hypocrite who tasted the portion of the disobedient and the desire of sin. They knew with certainty that war was to fall upon him, without hesitation or refusal. And for this reason they did not utter what they uttered, so excuse them, for they are among the righteous. They were fashioned by nature upon the most universal good, not knowing the places of animosity. And when you saw the Father, while they were in an assembly, the Imam was present, and they were of the sitters. And our Lord repeated their words back to them in justice, causing them to descend to a state of listening. A trial for the noble host of angels, a requital for their deeds at the first of the divine bestowals. Or do you not see their coming on the day of Badr, while our prophet was in a state of melodic ease, with his sick one cloaked and stained for the sake of his God, in aid of the weak? 39. When my heart saw all these realities preserved from vain desires, it called out, making every seeker of wisdom hear, bestowing it upon him with his acceptance and modesty. Upon the one who hopes to meet his desired goal, so he traverses every desert and wilderness. O traveller, traversing the vast deserts, intending to reach me, to attain the rank of the poets, say to whomever you meet from among my emigrants, on behalf of an eye that has ripened the black-tinged clouds, and know that you are lost in bewilderment for having been ignorant of my message and my call. Verily, the one whose person I have never ceased to seek, I have found him upon the green hill, the radiant city, the city of Tunis, the embellished, resplendent presence, the most sublime, the most holy one, made its soil his own by his dwelling there, he of the visiting tribe, among a pure and chosen band, from the elite of the nobles and the chieftains. He walks among them in the light of a guiding knowledge, from his guidance with the white humbleness. And remembrance is recited, and spiritual knowledge is unveiled therein, from evening until morning's light. A full moon for the 14th night, never to be seen, illuminating a moonlit night. And the son of the Murabit is among them, unique in his station. His reality is too majestic to be enumerated, and his sons have realized their place upon his throne, for he is the Imam, and they are among the substitutes. And it is as if he and they with him were in an assembly of Badr, by which the stars of the firmament are effaced. A message to Sheikh Abd al-Aziz al-Mahdaw. Continuation of the discourse. And when a celestial wisdom comes to you, it is as if it forbids you from the jurists. 40. So I clung to him, until there descended upon him a female who is held in high esteem among the near ones. News from the learned scholars who were hostile to me for my own soul. He passes by the licentious, the ill-mannered ones. Yet he is, among them, one of the virtuous. And he came to me while I held the intention to depart at every time from forenoon to evening. So I left him and journeyed from him, while in his presence there walks one with the noble jealousy of the well-mannered. And he began to address me, saying, You are my paradise in the east, and my ancient companions. And I informed our third companion, she who abides with him, of my abode, though she did not inform my fellow prisoners of it. And God knows my intention and my path in the matter of his support and the truthfulness of my fidelity. For I am ever adherent to the ancient covenant, and his love is pure of all impurities. 41. And whenever you stand before an inspector of a wisdom concealed within the fair-skinned grasp, perplexed and disquieted, we say to him, O seeker of secrets in the night journey, hasten, for your hands have triumphed with one who gathers the realities of the dead and the living. He gazed upon existence, and from his vantage point down to the very foundation of the waters, it was beneath his sandals. There is no end above him to which one might aspire, save an abyss which is the very drain of all things. The mantle is not for eminence, nor the waist-wrap, when he willed the coming into being of creation. And when he desires to delight in his own existence without regard to the perceptions of the wise, he lifts the mantle, not being presumptuous, and his waist-wrap is held in great esteem by his peers. Then an existence appeared that no attribute can confine for us, nor any sin among the names. 41. If it is asked, Who is this, and whom do you mean by him? We would say, the verifier, the sign of the princes, the sun of reality, its axis and its imam, the secret of the servants and the scholar of the scholars. A servant whose face has turned black from his spiritual striving, the light of insights, the seal of the successors. Gentle of disposition, sweet in the reaping of his fruit, the succour of creatures, the most merciful of the merciful. A message to Sheikh Abd al-Aziz al-Mahdaw, continuation of the discourse. The attributes of His Majesty and His beauty are too glorious, His splendour and His might are beyond all peers. He enacts the divine will among the sons, a conqueror, among the slaves, the eloquent and the hired. He remains the guardian of a community that, through him, was preserved in all its regions and expanses. He is laid bare if you contest him in his dominion. He is harmed if you come to him with harshness. He is firm, yet lenient in his intercession, like water that flows from a pure, clear stone. He turns back and forgives whom he wills, for his command is the reviver of patience and the destroyer of enemies. 42. I shall not forget when the Imam uttered a saying before which the most eloquent of orators fell short. We were, through ourselves, his mantle and a gathering of our essences, so I am wherever my mantle is. So gaze upon the honoured secret, a polished pearl unveiled in the dark, deep sea. Until creation is bewildered in defining its essence, an eye like the bewilderment of the return to the origin. A youth whose shells have not hidden him. The sun negates the deepest darkness. So when a servant comes with such a secret, it is said, "Be content with my servant from among the trustees." If he reveals the secret while it is veiled, then my earth knows not of it, so how then my heaven? 43. When I came with a partial description of His Majesty, while my very life stood in parallel to me, they said, "You have indeed joined him with deities in essence, attributes, and names. By what meaning, then, do you know the truth, who fashioned you as a creature in the darkness of the inner parts?" We said, "You have spoken truly. Yet have you known, as a verifier, any who brought the universal cosmos into being other than I? So when I praise, I but bestow praise upon my own self, for myself is the very essence of the object of my praise." 44. And when I desired to be known through his existence, what I possess transcended all rivals. And I knew from my own eye, so his existence was, and his manifestation depended upon my concealment. Exalted is the true God above, appearing to us alone, while my eye is manifest and my merchandise is plain to see. Had it been so, he would have been a solitary seeker, an inquirer, for a testimony leading to a cure. This is impossible, so let his existence be gathered in my absence from his eye and my cure. A youth has appeared to you, to whom I have given the concealment of the sun's eye amidst the tempests. And the onlookers see what their eyes deem to be clouds, which the hand of desire transforms. And the sun, behind the clouds, reveals its light to the clouds and to the eyes in the darkness. And you say, "She has been miserly towards me," while she is preoccupied with the dissolution of her parts, that she might generously pour abundant rain upon the soil without toil or fatigue. And likewise, upon her rising in her light, she effaces the ascendant stars of every heaven. And when an hour has passed after her setting, the stars of Gemini appear to your eyes. This is for her abundance, and that for her appointed time within her essence, and she says, a beautiful praise. 45. Thus his concealment is for our sake, and his manifestation is for his own sake, and the symbol is in the tidings. Like our concealment for his sake, and our manifestation for our own sake, for his radiance is the very essence of my light. Then I met, by way of inversion, a second symbol, whose graces are too majestic to be enumerated. And it is as if we were two equals in our essences, like the purity of glass in the purity of red wine. For knowledge witnesses two sincere ones shining forth, while the eye bestows but one upon the beholder. So the spirit is laden with the wonders of its essence and its beginning from the side of the equals, and sense is laden with the vision of its Lord, though it be absent from the perception of bliss. 46. God is the most great, and the Great One is my constant bestower. The light is my full moon, and the radiance is my sun. The east is my west, and the wests are my east. My farness is nearness, and my proximity is remoteness. And the fire is my unseen, and the gardens are my witnessed realm, and the realities of the new creation are my handmaidens. And when I desire a transcendent walk in my garden, I behold all of creation in my mirror. And when I depart, I am the Imam, and I have no one to leave behind me as a successor. So all praise be to God, who is my own self, the gatherer of the realities of the originator and the originated. This, my poetic utterance, is from him concerning my wonders, whose paths have become too narrow for the most eloquent. So thank with me Abd al-Aziz our God, and you shall also give thanks for the joyous occasion. An explanation, and if not, then God, 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 and to your parents, for you are the very eye of my decree. 47. And after the praise of God, praise praises itself, and naught else. And may the most perfect of blessings be upon him who was taken by night to his station. So know, O intelligent and well-mannered one, O beloved saint, that the all-wise, when a treatise to Sheikh Abdulaziz al-Mahdawi. Continuation of the sermon. His dwelling was fortified by his own toil, though the passage of time had eroded the bonds with his kin. Between his dearest and his own offspring, he could no longer discern where affection truly lay. Nor could he perceive what he had amassed in his old age, nor his steadfast adherence to the ancient immutable decrees. Nor could he comprehend the ease and solace bestowed upon him by the all-merciful Lord through his graces, his endowments, his wisdom deposited within him, and his words he was made to hear. And thus his longing was for that which was hidden from him, revealed through what he had already known. 48. Should the saint, may God preserve him, have attained the clarity of his inner being, yet encountered some turbidity for a divine purpose, or experienced a certain withdrawal from the balm of solace, also for a divine purpose, then, from that very experience, the reins of surrender were handed back to him, transforming it into a cherished custom by the saint. May God preserve him. For indeed none cares for you save he who inquires of your state. Thus, let the saint, may God preserve him, shelter us, for the heart is sound, and the spiritual yearning, as he knows full well, abides within the very core of one's being. And the saint, may God preserve him, understood that the rejection he faced was a divine sanction, neither born of external purpose nor self-seeking desire. This truth had long been established with him, untainted by flaws, unyielding to denial, unpursued for remedy, and untouched by the sweetness of any chastisement. 49. And perhaps it was from the saint, may God Ta'ala preserve him, in that initial journey undertaken to him in the year 590, wherein the distressed sought Al-Mijani, and where a turning away from pursuing aims and artifices was manifest, owing to what he, may God be pleased with him, had observed of imperfection and weariness therein. For this granted him, in outward appearance, a clear insight, and he bore witness to the divine decree. Thus, in that matter, I chose to distance myself. The first part of Al-Fath al-Makki, and when he drew my attention to the true condition of my inner self, by revealing to him the sorry state of my being and the malady of my physical frame. 50. and perhaps I would at times offer them subtle hints by way of admonition, yet God would not permit any of them to cast upon me an eye of untainted regard. Indeed, on a certain day in some assemblies many a soul was stung, while the saint, may God preserve him, sat enthroned at the very heart of that gathering, listening to verses which I passionately recited, and which I had enshrined within the book of Al-Isra, the night journey. And these verses are, I am the Qur'an, and the 7 oft-repeated verses, 1587, and the primal soul of souls, whose fullness resides within my heart, held firm by certain knowledge, witnessing its truth, and for how long has my tongue spoken? So do not cast your gaze upon my physical form, nor indulge in vain amusements, but recount within the ocean of the self the wondrous mending of that which has never been revealed to the eye, and secrets that have been awakened, whispering, unveiled by the very spirits of meanings. 51. By God, I was not delivered from this profound estrangement, save through the names of God, which were to me as a dead letter. And the reason for this lay in a wisdom whose vision pleased my soul, and a profound argument Jacob had settled within himself. 12 Sittis. And what was perceived in this by that most honoured and revered one, and by Abu Abdullah ibn al-Murabit, their distinguished and foremost interlocutor. A treatise to Sheikh Abdul Aziz al-Mahdawi, continuation of the sermon. Yet a certain sentiment lingered, predominantly veiled in ambiguity. As for Sheikh al-Hassan, the fiery advocate, I had unveiled before him with clarity in an exalted presence, and I ceased not, after the departure from me of the saint, may God preserve him, to hold his states in grateful remembrance, his ultimate consequences speaking eloquently, and his refined manners echoing from what I had inscribed in books, matters that caravans had carried far and wide, and which had gained renown in diverse lands. The saint had come to know of this, and perceived something of its inherent richness. Thus my affection for him was affirmed not by any compelling reason, nor by any immediate or distant desire, but rather it resembled a sudden, illuminating flash within the soul itself. 52. Then the reunion with the saint, may God's care embrace him, occurred years later, in his familiar sanctuary. And the sojourn with him spanned 9 months, not mere days, lived within the earthly horizon, yet also within a life of spirit and pure essence. Each of us generously bestowed our very being upon the other, sharing our deepest thoughts. I had a companion, indeed I had a companion, and both were true friends. His circle comprised a sheikh, discerning, specialized, precise, who understood the remaining teachings of Abdullah al-Murabit. He possessed a noble spirit, pleasing virtues, and deeds of profound purity, alongside a majesty that evoked contentment. He traversed the night in fervent glorification and Quranic recitation, remembering God in most of his moments, both openly and secretly. A true hero in the arena of spiritual stations, he comprehended the intricate questions and profound spiritual struggles that came his way. He enhanced his own spiritual state, discerning wisdom amidst folly and its attendant maladies. The first part of Al-Fath al-Makki, 53. As for my companion, he was pure effulgence and sheer radiance. Blessed indeed. His name was Abdullah. May ruin never touch his lineage. He discerns the truth for its rightful heirs, bestowing it upon them and causing them to stand firm upon it, unrivalled by any other. He had attained the sublime rank of discernment, and was purified in the manner of the seeker, like burnished gold. His words were truth, and his promises unfailingly sincere. 54. and thus we were the four pillars upon which the very personification of the world and humanity rested. And so we parted, though our state remained thus, for a deviation had manifested in some of these impossible places. When I resolved to perform the Hajj and Umrah, I then hastened to his noble assembly as swiftly as coal to the eye. Upon reaching the mother of cities, Mecca, and after the prayer and a visit to my master, the progeny of our father Abraham, 2:24, who served between the towns, God inspired within my heart the desire to truly know the saint. May God preserve him. They guard the essence of divine knowledge. From my hidden depths I presented to him, may God honour him, of the jewels of knowledge which I had acquired in my unseen realm. So I offered him this singular treatise, which the truth brought into being for comprehensive purposes, and for every companion of purity, and for every realized Sufi, and for our beloved Abdullah, and our virtuous brother, and our pleasing son, Abdullah al-Haifi, who is named the Enveloping Truth Enamoured, and by his very name the Enveloping Truth Enamoured, from the ancient noble lineages, and its striving towards its sacred precinct. The first part of Al-Fath al-Makki, the secrets, both celestial and earthly, for indeed the predominant essence enshrined within this treatise was that which God had unveiled to me during my circumambulations around his sacred house, or as I sat in contemplative vigil within his noble, hallowed sanctuary. And I fashioned them into lawful portals, wherein I deposited subtle and profound meanings. 55. For indeed man cannot endure the tribulations of the beginning unless he comprehends the nobility of the ultimate end. 94, 7-8. Especially if he has tasted from that very endeavour the sweetness of its harvest and experienced its manifestation in accordance with his deepest aspirations. Then, should the door of perception become vibrant, it will hesitate not, for the discerning eye of wisdom will gaze upon it, extracting both the verdict and its underlying dynamics. And then it will bestow upon him, through that very portal, such spiritual wisdom and ascetical insights as correspond to the depth of his penetration, his understanding, the strength of his resolve and earnestness, and the vastness of his soul, all for the sake of his immersion into the profound seas of divine knowledge. 56. As for him for whom I stood as a very portal to God, I was the vigilant observer, never swayed by heedlessness. Until her visage became clear to my sight, was it not indeed none other than she? Thus I became bewildered by the very essence of existence, and it enveloped us within two hearts where naught but fervent passion resided. And the questioning creation leads you, though they never inquired into the ultimate truths of their own being. 57. Therefore, before we embark upon the discourse concerning the various chapters of this book, let us first present a preamble outlining its table of contents. Subsequently, we shall humbly offer an introduction, laying the groundwork for the divine, esoteric sciences contained within this volume. This discourse on the chapters shall then proceed according to their systematic arrangement within the table of contents, if God Most High wills. And God speaks the truth, and he guides to the right path. 33. Thus concludes the first part, and all praise belongs to God. The second part shall follow, God willing, and may God's blessings be upon Muhammad and his purified household. The second part of the chapters of this book has ended, and praise be to God alone, and blessings be upon Muhammad, his prophet, and his servant. The third part of the Meccan Illuminations. In the name of God, the most compassionate, the most merciful introduction to the book, Degrees of Knowledge, 64, We said, it occurred to my mind that I should place in this book firstly a chapter on the creeds supported by definitive proofs and radiant arguments. Then I saw that this would be confusing to the aspirant who is prepared for the increase, who exposes himself to the breezes of generosity through the secrets of existence. For the prepared aspirant, if he adheres to retreat and remembrance and empties the locus of the heart from thought and sits in poverty, possessing nothing, at the door of his sustainer, then God, exalted be he, will bestow upon him and give him of the knowledge, divine secrets, and lordly gnosis, that for which God praised his servant Kida, saying, A servant from among our servants upon whom we had bestowed grace from us, and whom we had taught knowledge from our own presence. 118:6. And the exalted said, and remain conscious of God, and God will teach you davantage to the. And he said, if you remain conscious of God, he will grant you a criterion to distinguish between right and wrong. 29. And he said, and he will make for you a light wherein you walk. 57. The introduction to the book. 65. It was said to Al-Junayd, what is it that you have attained? He replied, it is through my sitting beneath that flight of stairs for 30 years. And Abu Yazid stated, you have taken your knowledge dead from the dead, whereas we have taken our knowledge from the living one who dies not. Thus, a supreme aspiration is born within the solitary retreat with God, or is magnified, and the grace thereof becomes immense, such that every eloquent speaker on the face of the earth is absent from it, for every possessor of speculative theory and proof possesses not this state, for it lies beyond the scope of intellectual speculation. 66. For knowledge is of 3 levels. The first is the knowledge of the intellect, which is any knowledge that occurs to you either by necessity or as a consequence of considering a proof, provided that the discovery of the proof occurs upon its proper facet. And akin to this in the realm of thought is that which gathers and specializes in this art of the sciences. This is why they say regarding speculation, some of it is correct and some of it is corrupt. 67. The second knowledge is the knowledge of states, and there is no way to it save through tasting, talk. No rational being can define it, nor can any proof represent it, such as the knowledge of the sweetness of honey, or the bitterness of aloe, or the pleasure of intimacy, love, ecstasy, and yearning, and that which resembles this species of knowledge. It is impossible for anyone to know it without being characterized by it and tasting it. Included in its genus among the people of tasting is the flavour of yellow bile, for one in such a state finds honey bitter. This is not because the honey has changed, but because the bitter humour has overwhelmed the locus of taste. 68. The third knowledge is the knowledge of the mysteries, ulum al-asrar. It is the knowledge that is beyond the stage of the intellect. It is the knowledge of the blowing of the Holy Spirit into the heart, ruh, and it is specific to the prophet and the saint, wali. It is of 2 kinds. One kind is perceived by the intellect, like the first category, but this knower does not attain it through speculation. Rather, the degree of this knowledge bestows it. The other kind involves 2 subcategories. One that joins with the second knowledge, states, but its condition is more noble. And the other category is the knowledge of reports, akbar, which comprises truthfulness and falsehood, except that the one who informs of it has established his truthfulness and holds infallibility in what he reports, such as the reports of the prophets, peace be upon them, regarding God, or their reports regarding paradise and that which is therein. 69. His saying, that is, the possessor of the knowledge of mysteries. Indeed, there is a garden, is from the knowledge of reports. And his saying regarding the resurrection, "Indeed, there is a pond therein sweeter than honey," is from the knowledge of states, which is the knowledge of tasting. And his saying, "God was, and nothing was with him," and similar statements are from the knowledge of the intellect, perceived through speculation. 70. Thus, this third class is the one that knows the mysteries. It is the knower who knows all sciences and encompasses them completely. The possessor of those other sciences is not likewise. Therefore, there is no knowledge more noble than this all-encompassing knowledge, which contains within it all objects of knowledge. 71. There remains nothing further, save that the informant, who possesses the mysteries, must be truthful regarding the self of the listener and infallible. This is a condition for the general public. As for the intelligent man of reason, he advises his own soul, so he does not cast it toward destruction by denying the truth. But one says, "Within my estimation, it is possible that this is truth or falsehood." And likewise it behooves every rational person, when this knowledge, meaning the knowledge of mysteries, comes to him from other than the infallible prophet, that he should not reject it, even if he is truthful in the matter regarding which he informed. However, it is not binding upon the listener to accept his truthfulness, nor is his denial binding. Yet he should suspend judgment. If his report is truthful, it will not harm him. And if he accepts his truthfulness, it will not harm him, because he has brought a report that minds do not deem impossible. Rather, they allow it as a possibility or suspend judgment upon it. This knowledge does not demolish a pillar of the pillars of the Sharia, nor does it invalidate a principle from its principles. 72. Thus, if he, the possessor of the knowledge of mysteries, brings a command that the intellect allows, and regarding which the lawgiver is silent, it is not fitting for us to reject it at all. We have the choice in accepting it. If the condition of the informant necessitates uprightness, adala, his acceptance does not harm us, just as we accept his testimony and rule by it in matters of wealth and lives. And if he is not upright in our knowledge, then we observe if that which he reported is truth. By virtue of what we possess of sound perspectives, we accept it. Otherwise, we leave it in the category of possibilities, and we do not speak regarding the one who said it. For indeed it is a written testimony about which we shall be asked. For he, the Most High, has said, "We shall write down their witness, and they shall be questioned." 43:19. 73. I am the foremost of those who advise their own souls in this regard. Even if nothing had come to us via this informant, save that which came via the infallible one, since he weaves for us upon his loom, affirming the prophet, there would be no benefit added to us by his report. Yet they bring, may God be pleased with them, secrets and wisdom from the secrets of the Sharia that lie beyond the power of thought and earning, which can never be attained by mere observation and judgment. And what resembles these paths, and from here arises the benefit, is his saying, peace be upon him, "If there are in my community those who are spoken to, muhaddathun, then Umar is among them," and his saying regarding Abu Bakr concerning his virtue by way of the secret. 74. Were denial not to befall these sciences attained by existence, wujud, Abu Huraira would not have said, "I have preserved from the messenger of God, peace and blessings be upon him, 2 vessels. As for one of them, I have disseminated it. As for the other, were I to disseminate it, this throat would be cut." The jurist Abu Abdullah Muhammad bin Ubaidullah al-Hajari narrated to me in Chuta, in the month of Ramadan, in the year 585, in his home. And Abu al-Walid, Ahmad b. Muhammad b. Al-Arabi, also narrated to me in his home in Seville in the year 592, along with others who said, "We were told," except for Abu al-Walid b. Al-Arabi, who said, "I heard Abu al-Hasan Shuraih b. Muhammad b. Shuraih al-Ru'ayni say, my father Abu Abdullah narrated to me, and Abu Abdullah Muhammad b. Ahmad b. Manzur al-Qaisi narrated to me, both hearing it from him, from Abu Dhar, hearing it from him, from Abu Muhammad, who is Abdullah b. Ahmad b. Hamawiyah al-Sarakhsi al-Hamawi, and Abu Ishaq al-Mustamli, and Abu al-Haytham, who is Muhammad b. Makki b. Muhammad al-Kushmayhani. They said Abu Abdullah, who is Muhammad b. Yusuf b. Matar al-Farabri, said al-Bukhari told us. He's 75. And Abu Muhammad Yunus b. Yahya b. Abi al-Hasan b. Abi al-Barakat, the Hashemite, the Abbasid, narrated to me purely for God's sake in the holy precinct of Mecca, facing the Yemeni corner of the great Kaaba, in the month of Jumada al-Ula, in the year 599, from Abu al-Waqt, Abd al-Awwal b. Isa al-Sidzi, the Herati, from Abu al-Hasan, Abd al-Rahman b. al-Muzaffar al-Dawudi, from Abu Muhammad Abdullah b. Ahmad b. Hamawiyah al-Sarakhsi, from Abu Abdullah al-Farabri, from al-Bukhari. 76. Al-Bukhari said in his Sahih, Ismail told me, he said, my brother told me, from Ibn Abi Dhi'b, from Sa'id al-Maqburi, from Abu Huraira, and he mentioned the hadith. And Abu Abdullah al-Bukhari explained the pharynx, al-Bulum, via the narration of Abu Dar, stating in the Book of Knowledge that they mentioned that the pharynx is the channel of food. 77. And had denial not occurred regarding these sciences, the saying of Ibn Abbas would not have been restricted when he said regarding the saying of God, mighty and majestic, God is he who created 7 heavens, and of the earth the like thereof. The command descends between them. 65. 12. If I were to mention its interpretation, you would stone me, and in another narration, you would say, indeed, he is a disbeliever. Abu Abdullah Muhammad b. Aishun narrated this hadith to me from Abu Bakr the judge, Muhammad b. Abdullah b. al-Arabi, the Ma'afiri, from Abu Hamid, Muhammad b. Muhammad, al-Tusi, Al-Ghazali. 78. And likewise, it was not for the saying of Al-Rida, from the descendants of Ali b. Abi Talib, peace and blessings be upon him, as a meaning when he said, O Lord, a jewel of knowledge, which, were I to divulge it, it would be said to me, Thou art one of those who worship idols. And Muslim men would deem the shedding of my blood lawful, seeing the most heinous of what they do as good. 79. Thus all of these are masters, righteous men. As far as I reckon, and in that which is known about them, they have recognized this knowledge and its rank, and the station of most of the world in relation to it, and that the majority deny it. It behooves the rational one, the Gnostic, that he does not blame them for their denial. For indeed, in the story of Moses with Kidder, there is ample scope for them, and a proof for the two parties. And even if the denial of Moses arose from forgetfulness of his condition, God accepted his excuse. And through this very story, proof is established against the deniers. But there is no way to end their quarrelling. Rather, we say, as the righteous servant said, This is the parting between me and thee. 1878. Section regarding prophetic knowledge and theoretical knowledge. 80. Let it not veil you, O observer of this category of knowledge, which is the prophetic knowledge inherited from them, peace be upon them. If you come across a question from their questions which a philosopher, a theologian, or a possessor of speculative theory has mentioned, regardless of what science it may be. Do not say to this speaker, who is the verifying Sufi, "He is a philosopher," simply because the philosopher mentioned that question and opined on it and believed it, and he, the Sufi, reported it from them. Or indeed he has no religion, for the philosopher has opined it and has no religion. 81. Do not do so, O my brother, for this saying is the speech of one who has no attainment of knowledge. For the philosopher does not possess knowledge that is entirely false. Thus it might be that this question is among the truths he possesses. And furthermore, we have found the messenger, peace be upon him, affirming truthful matters, and specifically in what he laid down of wisdom, and in his disavowal of desires and the machinations of the self, and in what implies avoiding the evil of consciences. For if we did not know the realities, it would be fitting for us to verify the saying of the philosopher in this specific question and determine that it is truth. For the messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, has said it, or the companion, or Malik, or Al-Shafi'i, or Sufyan al-Thawri. 82 Stuan. As for your saying, if you said it, you heard it from a philosopher or read it in their books, indeed you may fall into falsehood and ignorance. As for falsehood, it is your saying you heard it or read it, while you did not witness that from him. As for ignorance, it is your failure to distinguish between the truth regarding that question and the falsehood. And as for your saying, indeed the philosopher has no religion to him, this does not indicate that everything he possesses is false. This is understood by the primary principles of reason among every rational person. 83. Thus you have strayed, O my sister, an expression of rebuke, astonishment, by your objection against the Sufi regarding the likes of this question, away from knowledge, truthfulness and religion, and you have enrolled yourself in the thread of the people of ignorance, falsehood and slander, and limitation of intellect and religion, and corruption of speculation and deviation. Consider, if he came to you with a vision he had seen, would you be anything but an interpreter of it, seeking its meanings? It is likewise. Take what the Sufi has brought to you, and guide yourself against your own soul for a little while, and empty yourself for what he has brought to you, so that its meaning may emerge for you. F52b. Better than for you to say, on the day of resurrection, "Nay, indeed, we were heedless of this. Nay, we were wrongdoers." 21:97. 84. For every knowledge, if the phrase is simplified, its meaning becomes good and understood, or at least approaches the understanding of the listener, for it is a theoretical knowledge that falls under perception, idrak. But this is not the case for the knowledge of mysteries, for when the phrase takes it, it becomes clumsy, samij, and difficult for understandings to grasp. And perhaps the weak, fanatical minds may shun it, those minds which do not possess the capacity to direct its reality which God placed therein through speculation and research. That is why the possessor of this knowledge often communicates it to understandings by striking parables and poetic addresses. 85. As for the knowledge of states, it is intermediate between the knowledge of mysteries and the knowledge of intellects. Most of those who believe in the knowledge of states are the people of experiences. It is closer to the knowledge of mysteries than to theoretical intellectual knowledge. However, it approaches the category of necessary intellectual knowledge, but it is what it is. Minds cannot reach it through reporting from one who knows it or witnesses it, be he a prophet or a saint. That is, to distinguish it from rational, necessary knowledge. But the knowledge of states is necessary for the one who witnesses it. 86. Then know, O my brother, that if it is good in your estimation, the knowledge of mysteries, and you have accepted it and had faith in it, receive glad tidings. For you have a portion of it by way of necessity, and you do not know. There is no path to this save that the breast be expanded by it through what definitively establishes its soundness. And the intellect has no entry here, because it is not of its perception. But if the infallible one brings it, then the breast of the rational man expands, and whosoever is not infallible, one does not take pleasure in his speech, save the possessor of tasting. The method of the people of truth in their journey to the truth, 87. If you say, then summarize for me this method which claims that it is the noble path, the one that conveys the wayfarer upon it to God. Exalted is he, and on which the realities and stations are folded, with the closest phrase and the briefest expression, such that I may act upon it and arrive at what you have claimed you have reached. And by God, I take it not from you by way of trial and testing, but I take it from you by way of believing truth. For I have thought well of you with a decisive charity, since you have awakened me to a lot of what I brought by way of the intellect, and that the intellect determines its possibility and place, or suspends judgment regarding it without a specific ruling. So may God thank you for that, and convey you to your hopes, and benefit others through you. 88. Then know that the path to God, exalted is he, which is tread upon by the elite among the believers seeking their salvation, to the exclusion of the common people who have occupied themselves with other than what they were created for, is based upon 4 branches: motives, impetuses, ethics, and realities. And that which called them to these motives, impetuses, ethics, and realities are 3 rights which have become obligatory upon them: the right of God, the right of their own selves, and the right of creation. Introduction of the book, 89. As for the ultimate truth, 53, exalted be he above the creation, imagining that they worship him, he associates nothing with himself. The truth in relation to the creation is to withhold harm from them entirely, unless it is ordered by the divine law as a prescribed punishment, and the beautiful treatment of them alongside the capacity to do otherwise and preference for others. As for that which the law does not forbid, there is no way to oppose the purpose of the law except by the tongue of the law itself. And the truth which the souls owe to themselves is that they should not traverse any path save the path wherein lies their felicity and salvation. If the self refuses, it does so only out of a commanding nature or an acquired nature. For the refusing soul is merely compelled to perform noble character traits by a specific religious governance or a sense of virtue. Thus, ignorance is the opposite of religious practice, for true religion is knowledge of the known sciences, and an ill nature is the opposite of virtue. 90. Then we return to the 4 branches, and we say, the motives are 5. The obsessive impulse, which is named the strike of a thought, then the will, then the resolve, then the determination, then the intention. The incentives for these motives are 3 things: desire, awe, or aggrandizement. And desire is of 2 inclinations, a desire for proximity and a desire for witnessing. If you wish, you may say a desire for what is with him and a desire for him. And awe is of 2 inclinations, awe of punishment and awe of the veil. And aggrandizement is distinguishing him from you and gathering you with him. 91. And character traits are of 3 kinds, F. 54a. A transitive character trait, and an intransitive character trait, and a shared character trait. The transitive is divided into 2 parts: transitive with benefit, such as generosity and chivalry, and transitive by repelling harm, such as pardon, forgiveness, and bearing annoyance, alongside the power over repayment and the ability to enact it. And the character trait that is not transitive, such as piety, asceticism, and reliance upon God. As for the shared character trait, it is like patience against harm and a cheerful countenance. 92. As for the realities, they are four: realities that return to the sanctified essence, and realities that return to the transcendent attributes, which are relationships, and realities that return to actions, which are kun, be, and its sisters, and realities that return to the effects, which are the universes and the created beings. These cosmic realities are upon three levels: high, which are the intelligibles; low, which are the sensory objects; and intermediate, which are the imaginings. 93. As for the essential realities, every scene in which the ultimate truth establishes you therein is without resemblance and without asking how, and expression cannot encompass it, nor can reference point to it. As for the attributive realities, every scene in which the ultimate truth establishes you allows you to look upon him regarding the knowledge of his being, glorified be he, knowing, willing, living, to the exclusion of other names and attributes, the divergent, the opposite, and the similar. 94. As for the cosmic realities, every scene in which the ultimate truth establishes you allows you to look upon him regarding the knowledge of spirits, F54b, simple elements, compounds, bodies, connection and separation. 95. And as for the active realities, every scene in which the ultimate truth establishes you allows you to look upon him regarding the knowledge of kun, be, and the attachment of power to the ordained object in a specific manner, for the servant has no action strictly speaking, nor any effect for his created power regarding it. 96. And all that we have mentioned is named states, ahwal, and stations, maqamat. The station is that wherein stability is obligatory and moving from it is not valid, such as repentance. The state is every attribute that exists in a specific time without duration, such as intoxication, effacement, absence and satisfaction, or whose existence is conditioned, vanishing when its condition is absent, such as patience with tribulation and gratitude with blessing. 97. These matters are of two types: a portion in the outward of the human being and his inward, such as scrupulousness and repentance, and a portion whose perfection is in the inward of the human being, and if the outward follows it, there is no harm, such as asceticism and reliance. And there is not, exalted be Allah, a station that exists in the outward without the inward. 98. Furthermore, indeed these stations, some are attributed to the human being in this world and the hereafter, such as witnessing, majesty, beauty, intimacy, awe, and expansiveness. And among them is that which characterizes the servant until the time of his death, or until the resurrection, or until the first foot he places in paradise, and then it vanishes from him, such as fear, contraction, sorrow, and hope. And among them is that which characterizes the servant, F. 55 until the time of his death, such as asceticism, repentance, scrupulousness, struggle, spiritual exercise, self-discipline, and adornment with divine qualities upon the path of proximity. And among them is that which ceases upon the cessation of its condition, and returns upon the return of its condition, such as patience and gratitude and piety. 99. So this, and here we are, may Allah grant success to us and to you, has clarified the path for you, arranged the stations, the outward of the meanings, and the realities to the utmost of brevity and clarity and the exhaustion of the general import. So if you traverse it, you have arrived, and Allah, glorified be He, guides us and you. Chapter: The 7 issues which the people of truth are distinguished by knowing. 100. The orbit of the knowledge by which the people of Allah, exalted be He, are distinguished rests upon 7 issues. Whoever knows them has not missed anything of the knowledge of realities. They are knowledge of the names of Allah, exalted be He, and knowledge of the theophanies, and knowledge of the address of the ultimate truth to His servants by the tongue of the law, and knowledge of the perfection of existence and its imperfection, and knowledge of the human being from the perspective of his realities, and knowledge of imaginative unveiling, and knowledge of illnesses and medicines. We have mentioned these issues in the chapter of knowledge from this book, so let it be looked for there, if Allah wills. Supplement regarding the inquiry into the soundness of creeds from the perspective of the science of theology. 101. Then we return to the reason for which we prevented the prepared one from the unveiling of the truth to his heart, from looking into the soundness of creeds from the perspective of the science of theology, kalam, if. B. The reason for this is that the common people, without dispute among any who legislate by correct reason, possess sound creeds, and they are Muslims, despite the fact that they have not studied anything of the science of theology, nor have they known the schools of the adversaries. Rather, Allah, exalted be He, has maintained them upon the soundness of the primordial nature, fitra, and it is the knowledge of the existence of Allah, exalted be He, by receiving it from the biological father or the teaching father. And indeed, concerning the knowledge of the ultimate truth, glorified be He, and His transcendence, they are upon the judgment of knowledge and transcendence that has arrived in the apparent meaning of the clear Qur'an. And they are regarding it, by the praise of Allah, upon soundness and correctness, unless one of the interpreters, mu'awwilun, knocks on their door. For if one of them knocks on the door towards interpretation, ta'wil, he exits the judgment of the general masses and realization in a classification of the classifications of the people of inquiry and interpretation. And it is according to his interpretation. And upon him meets Allah, exalted be He, so either he is correct or he is mistaken, looking to that which does not contradict the apparent meaning of what has come in the law. 102. So the general masses, by the praise of Allah, are sound in their creeds, because they accepted them, as we have mentioned, from the apparent meaning of the mighty book, a reception that necessitates certainty within it, and that is because the mass transmission, tawatur, from the paths that lead to knowledge. And there is no purpose in knowledge except certainty regarding the known object, that it is according to what we have known it to be, without doubt or suspicion. And the mighty Qur'an has been established with us by mass transmission, that it came via a person who claimed that he is a messenger of Allah, exalted be He, and that he brought that which indicates his truthfulness, and that is this Qur'an, and that whatever he was capable of, no one could oppose it, F56 whatsoever. Thus it is correct with us by mass transmission that he is the messenger of Allah to us, and that he brought this Qur'an which is between our hands today, and informed us that it is the speech of Allah. And all this is established with us by mass transmission. Thus, knowledge is established that it is the news of truth and the decisive word, and the proofs are auditory and rational. And when we judge upon a matter, there is no doubt in it that it is upon that judgment. 103. And if the matter is, as we have said, Then the prepared one takes his creed from the mighty Qur'an, and it is in the position of the rational proof in indication, for it is the truth which falsehood cannot approach from before it or from behind it, a revelation from a Lord who is wise and praiseworthy. 41:4-2. Thus, the prepared one needs not, alongside the establishment of this foundation, the proofs of the intellects, for certainty has already been attained by the decisive evidence upon which the sword is hung, and agreement upon it with him is verified. 104. The Jews said to Muhammad, "May Allah bless him and grant him peace. Trace for us the lineage of your Lord." So Allah, exalted be He, sent down upon him Surah Al-Ikhlas, and no proof was established for them from the proofs of theoretical inquiry as a singular indication. So he said, "Say, He is Allah, who is one." 112. Thus he affirmed existence. Allah, the eternal refuge. 112. Thus he negated number and affirmed singular uniqueness for Allah. Glorified be He. He neither begets, 112. Thus he negated the body, nor is born, 112. Thus he negated the parent and the child. Nor is there to him any equivalent, 112. Thus he negated the consort wife, just as he negated the partner by his saying, "Had there been within the heavens and earth gods besides Allah, they both would have been ruined." Chapter 24. So the master of the rational proof demands the proof F56b for the soundness of these meanings by the intellect, and indeed this word has guided to its soundness. 105. Oh, would that I knew! This one who seeks proof, knowing Allah from the perspective of the proof, and declares as a disbeliever the one who does not engage in theoretical inquiry. How was his state before the inquiry, and while in the state of inquiry? Was he a Muslim first, or does he pray or fast? Or is it established with him that Muhammad is the messenger of Allah, or that Allah exists? If he was believing all of this, then this is the state of the general masses. So let him leave them upon what they are upon, and let him not declare anyone a disbeliever. And if he was not a believer in this, except until he speculates and reads the science of theology, then we seek refuge in Allah from this school of thought, wherein ill thinking leads to exiting the faith. 106. And the scholars of this science, may Allah be pleased with them, did not draft what they drafted, nor did they categorize what they categorized to establish in their own selves the knowledge of Allah. But they drafted it only as a defense against the adversaries, who denied divinity, or the attributes, or some of the attributes, or the message of Muhammad. May Allah bless him and grant him peace, specifically, or the temporal origin of the world, or the restoration to the bodies after death, or the resurrection and the gathering, and what relates to this category. And they were, the adversaries, disbelievers in the Qur'an, deniers of it, rejectors of it. So the scholars sought to establish the proofs against them, upon the method that they claimed led them to invalidating what we claimed was true specifically, so that they might not confuse the creeds of the common people. F57a. 107. So whoever among them emerged in the arena of disputation was an innovator who emerged to him, or one who was from the people of inquiry. And they did not limit themselves to the sword, desiring from them and eagerly hoping that they might return one of them to faith and join the thread of the nation of Muhammad. May Allah bless him and grant him peace through the proof. For the one who comes with the miraculous sign upon the truthfulness of his claim might be denied, and he is the messenger, upon him be peace. So the demonstration stands with them in the place of that miracle regarding the truth of the one who knew it. For indeed, the one returning by the proof becomes a Muslim more soundly than the one returning by the sword. For fear might carry him to hypocrisy, while the possessor of the proof is not like that. For this reason, may Allah be pleased with them, they established the science of substance and accident, and nothing else. And one path is sufficient in the outcome. 108. So if the person is a believer in the Qur'an as being the speech of Allah, certain of it, then let him take his creed from it, without interpretation and without deviation. 109. So he declared himself transcendent, glorified be he, that anything resembles him from the created beings, or that he resembles anything by his saying, there is nothing like unto him, and he is the hearing, the seeing. 42:11. And exalted is your Lord, the Lord of might, above what they describe. 37-180. 110. And he affirmed the vision of him in the abode of the hereafter, by the apparent meaning of his saying, some faces that day will be radiant, looking at their Lord. 75:22-23. And no, indeed, from their Lord that day they will be partitioned. 83-15 for the veiled ones. 111. And he negated the encompassing comprehension of him by his saying, vision perceives him not. 3. 112. And he affirmed his being powerful by his saying, and he is over all things competent. F. 57b, 57-2. 113. And he affirmed his being knowing by his saying, encompassed all things in knowledge. 65:12. 114. And he affirmed his being willing by his saying, doer of whatever he intends. 85:16. 115. And he affirmed his being hearing by his saying, certainly has Allah heard. 58:1. 116. And he affirmed his being seeing by his saying, does he not know that Allah sees? 96:14. 117. And he affirmed his being speaking by his saying, and Allah spoke to Moses with direct speech. 4:164. 118. And he affirmed his being living by his saying, Allah, there is no deity except him, the ever-living, the sustainer of all existence. 2:55. Introduction to the book. 119. And the sending of the messengers is established by his saying, and we sent not before thee any but men to whom we granted revelation. 12:109, 16:43. 1-20. And the messengership of Muhammad, may God send his peace and blessings upon him, is established by his saying, Muhammad is the messenger of God. 48:29. 121. And it is established that he is the last of the prophets by his saying, and the seal of the prophets. 33:40. 122. And it is established that everything other than him is created, by his saying, God is the creator of all things. 13:16. 39:62. 123. And the creation of the jinn is established by his saying, and I have not created the invisible beings, jinn, and mankind, except to worship me. 51:6. 124. And the bodily resurrection is established by his saying, from it we created you, and into it we shall return you, and from it we shall bring you forth once again. 20:50. 1-24. 1. This extends to similar matters required by the creed, such as the gathering, the resurrection, the decree and destiny, paradise and the fire, the grave, the balance, the cistern, the bridge, the reckoning, and the scrolls, and all that the believer must hold as true. The Exalted said, we have not neglected anything in the book. 638. 125. And indeed, this Qur'an is his miracle, may peace be upon him, challenged by opposition, yet the incapacity to meet that challenge is evident from his saying. Say, produce then a surah of similar merit. 2. Then the impossibility of ever opposing it is decisive by his saying. Say, if all mankind and all invisible beings should come together to produce the like of this Qur'an, they could not produce the like thereof, even if they were to exert all their strength in aiding one another. 17:88. And he informed of the incapacity of those who desired to oppose it, and their acknowledgment that the matter was momentous, surpassing human capability, for they said, "This is nothing but spellbinding magic." 74:4. Until his saying, "This is nothing but the word of a mortal." 74:25. 126. Thus, in the mighty Qur'an, for the one who possesses intellect, there is ample sufficiency, and for the one afflicted by incurable ailments, a cure and a healing, just as he said, "And we send down of the Qur'an that which is a healing and a mercy for the believers." 17:2. And a convincing silencer for the one who resolves to seek the path of salvation, and wishes for the elevation of degrees, and abandons those sciences upon which doubts and uncertainties arrive, thereby wasting time and fearing abomination. For the one who falsely claims this path rarely escapes from confusion, or occupies himself with disciplining the self and refining it. Indeed, such sciences consume one's moments in refuting the adversaries of religion who have no standing, and in repelling a specious argument that might possibly exist, and might possibly not exist, and, if it were to exist, the sword of the divine law is sharper and more cutting. 127. And I have been commanded to fight the people until they say, "There is no deity save God, and God is the greatest." This refers to his saying, "May God send his peace and blessings upon him." And he did not push us to debate with them when they are present. Rather, the command is strictly for struggle and the sword, if they persist in what is said to them. So, how can an adversary debate with a cut throat, F58b, when time has run out on him by his own disputation, and we see no essence to him, nor did he say anything to us? Indeed, we are, with what has happened to us, within our own souls, imagining that we are with others. 128. Despite this, they, may God be pleased with them, strove diligently, and they intended good. And even if they abandoned that which was more obligatory upon them from that which occupied their souls, God brings benefit to all through their intent. 129. Were it not for the fear of elongation, I would have spoken on the stations, sciences and ranks of theology. And knowing that kalam, scholastic theology, despite its nobility, is not needed by the majority of people. Rather, a single person in a town suffices for it, like a doctor. The jurists who deal with the branches of religion are not like that. Indeed, the people are in need of a multitude of scholars of the sacred law. And in the sacred law, praise be to God, there is richness and sufficiency. And if a human were to die without knowing the terminology of those who speak of the science of observation, such as substance, accident, body, physical and spiritual substance, he would not be asked by God, the Exalted, about that. Rather, God asks people only about what he has made obligatory upon them specifically, and God provides us with the modesty to stand before him. Connection regarding what the general public ought to believe, and it is the creed of the people of Islam, accepted without speculative inquiry or need for logical proof. 130. O my brothers among the believers, may God seal our lives and yours with the ultimate good. When I heard his saying, the Exalted, regarding his prophet Hud, F59, upon him be peace, when he said to his people who denied him and his message, Indeed, I call God to witness, and bear you witness, that I am innocent of all that you ascribe as partners to him. 11. He called upon him be peace, his people, despite their being deniers, to witness his innocence from associating partners with God, and his affirmation of his oneness. And when he knew, upon him be peace, that God, glorified be he, will stop his servants before him, and ask them about what he knows better than they, to establish the proof for them or against them, such that every witness will offer his testimony. 131. And it has been narrated that the muezzin is witnessed for, as far as his voice reaches, by moist and dry alike, and all who hear him. For this reason the Satan turns his back when the call to prayer is made, passing wind, and in a narration, and he has a flatulence. This is so he does not hear the muezzin's call to the testimony, lest he be obliged to witness for him, for he would then be among the sum of those who strive for the happiness of the one witnessed for, while he is a pure enemy. And there is no good in him for us at all. May God curse him. 132. And if the enemy must inevitably witness for you regarding that which you called him to witness upon yourself, then it is even more worthy that your ally and beloved witness for you, and he is upon your religion and your creed. And it is even more worthy that you witness regarding yourself in the abode of this world to the oneness and faith. The first testimony, 133. So, O my brothers and O my beloveds, may God be pleased with you, I call you to witness as a weak, destitute servant, in need of God, the exalted, at every moment and glance, and he is the author of this book and its composer. I call you to witness against myself, after I have called God, the exalted, and his angels, and those who attended him among the believers, fode fiti mine, and his hearing, that he testifies in word and binding conviction. 134. That God, the exalted, is one God, there is no second to him in his divinity. 135. Transcendent beyond having a consort or a son. 136. A king who has no partner. A sovereign who has no minister. 137. A maker having no arranger with him. 138. Existent by his essence, without need of any originator to bring him into existence. Rather, every existent other than him is in need of him, the exalted, for its existence. Thus the entire universe exists through him, and he alone is described by existence for himself. 139. There is no opening to his existence, nor any end to his permanence. Rather, he is absolute existence, unrestricted. 140. Subsisting by himself, not a substance occupying a distinct space, nor evaluated by location, nor an accident, for then permanence would be impossible for him, nor a body, for then he would have a direction and a front. 141. Sanctified beyond directions and regions. 142. Seen by the hearts and the visions when he wills. 143. He settled on his throne, as he said, and in the meaning which he intended, just as the throne, and everything other than it, is established by him. To him belongs the life of the hereafter and the primal beginning. 144. There is no likeness to him understood by the intellect, nor have minds indicated the limits of him. He is not bounded by time, nor designated by place. Rather, he was, and there was no place, and he is now as he was. 145. He created the placemaker and the place, and he brought time into being. And he said, I am the one, the living. He is not weighed down by the preservation of created things, nor is he described by any attribute from the attributes of created beings. 146. Exalted is he beyond the origination of events within him, or their descending upon him, or that he should be after them, or they should be before him. Rather, it is said he was, and there was nothing with him. For the before and the after are from the format of time, F60A, which he originated. 147. Thus he is the self-subsisting who does not sleep, and the overpowering who cannot be sought against. There is nothing like unto him. 42:11. 148. He created the throne, and made it the limit of the settlement, Istiwa. And he brought into being the footstool, Kursi, and made it encompass the earth and the heavens. 149. The high. He invented the tablet and the highest pen, and made it right by his knowledge regarding his creation until the day of separation and decree. 150. He originated the entire universe upon no pre-existing model, and he created the creation which he created. 151. He sent down the spirits into the phantoms, bodies, as trustees, and he made these phantoms, into which the spirits were sent down, vicegerents in the earth. 152. And he subjugated for us what is in the heavens and the earth, all from him, without moving from it, nor moving towards it. 153. He created the whole without need for it, nor did any necessity obligate him to do so. But God knows that he creates what he creates. 154. He is the first and the last, and the outward and the inward. 57. And he has the power to will anything. 57.2. 155. He encompasses everything in knowledge. 65. 12. And counts all things in number. 72. T8. He knows the secret and what is yet more hidden. 20. He knows the treachery of the eyes and what the bosoms conceal through. 47. Chantitin. How could he not know his own creation, seeing that he is the unfathomable in his wisdom, the all-aware? 67. 156. He knew the things before their existence, then he brought them into existence according to the limit of what he knew of them. Thus he remains knowing of things. No new knowledge renews for him at the renewal of origination. By his knowledge he perfected the things, so he decreed them. And by his rule over them he willed, so he ordained them. He knows the universals just as he knows the particulars, F60b, by the consensus of the people of correct insight and agreement. So he is knower of the unseen and the witnessed, 39. So exalted be God above all that they ascribe as partners, 52. 43. 156. 1. Doer of what he intends, 11. 107. 85 and 16. He is the willer for the created beings in the world of the earth and the heavens. His power did not attach to a thing until he willed it, just as he did not will it until he knew it. For it is impossible in reason that he wills what he does not know, or that the chooser, who is capable of leaving the act, does what he does not will. Just as it is impossible that these realities exist in other than the living. Just as it is impossible that the attributes subsist without an essence described by them. 157. Thus there is nothing in existence, be it obedience or disobedience, profit or loss, slave or free, heat or cold, life or death, obtaining or missing, day or night, moderation or inclination, land or sea, even or odd, substance or accident, health or illness, joy or grief, soul or phantom, darkness or light, earth or sky, composition or dissolution, much or little, morning or evening, white or black, sleep or waking, apparent or hidden, moving or stationary, dry or wet, husk or kernel, nor anything from these fluctuating ratios and contrasting opposites, except that it is willed by the truth, the exalted. 158. And how can it be created by him while he wills it not? Or how did he originate it? But God does what he wills. 2:53. There is no turning back his command. 13:41, F 61a. And no contender against his judgment. 6:115. 159. He grants dominion to whom he wills, and strips dominion from whom he wills, and he exalts whom he wills, and abases whom he wills. 3. He leads astray whom he wills, and guides whom he wills. 16:9. Whatever he willed was, and whatever he did not will that it be was not. 160. If all created beings were to gather, desiring that they will something which God, the Exalted, has not willed that they will, they would not will it. Or if they were to do something he did not desire, the Exalted, its bringing into being, and they desired it when he did not desire that they desire it, they would not do it, nor would they have the capacity for that, nor the power over it. 161. Thus unbelief and faith, obedience and disobedience are from his volition and his wisdom and his will. And he ceases not, glory be to him, described by this will eternally. 162. While the world was non-existent, not existing, though it was fixed in the knowledge in his view. Then he brought the world into existence without reflection or deliberation, arising from ignorance or lack of knowledge, so he would grant it reflection and deliberation as a result of knowledge regarding ignorance. High and exalted is he above that. Rather, he brought it into existence upon the preceding knowledge and the designation of the eternal will, decreeing upon the world what he originated it upon of time and place and states and colours. Thus there is no will in existence, in reality, other than his. For he is the sayer, glory be to him. And you do not will unless God wills. 76:30, 81:29. 163. And indeed he, glory be to him, just as he knew, so he ordained, and he willed, so he particularized, and he decreed, so he brought into existence. Likewise he hears and sees what moves or settles or speaks in the creation, from the lowest world and the highest. The distance does not veil his hearing, for he is the near, nor does the darkness hinder his sight. F. 61. He hears the speech of the self within the self, and the sound of the hidden contact upon touch. He sees the black in darkness, and the water in water. Intermingling does not veil him, nor darkness nor light, and he is the all-hearing, the all-seeing. 42:11. 164. He spoke, glory be to him, not from a silence that preceded, nor a silence anticipated, with a speech ancient and eternal, like the rest of his attributes, from his knowledge, his will, and his power. And God spoke to Moses. 164. Upon him be peace, with a speech. He named it the Revelation, Tanzil, the Psalms, Zabur, the Torah, and the Gospel, Injil. Without letters, without sounds, without melody, without languages. Rather, he is the creator of sounds, letters, and languages. 165. Thus his speech, glory be to him, is without uvula and without tongue, just as his hearing is without ear canals and without ears, just as his sight is without pupil and without eyelids, just as his will is without heart and without chest, just as his knowledge is without compulsion and without looking into proof, just as his life is without a vapour from the cavity of a heart, occurring from the blending of elements, just as his essence does not accept increase and decrease. 166. So glory be to him, glory be to him. How near, how far, how mighty the authority, how blinding the beneficence, an immense gratitude. Everything other than him is pure bounty, and his grace flows over, and his justice is fair. To him belongs the seizing and the releasing. 167. He perfected the fashioning of the world and brought it forth in unprecedented beauty. At the moment he brought it into being and invented it. He has no partner in his dominion, nor any manager alongside him in his sovereignty. 168. If he bestows favour, then such is his bounty, and if he tests, then such is his justice. He does not behave within the dominion of another such that he might be attributed to tyranny or injustice. Nor is any judgment turned against him such that he might be described by dread or fear. Everything other than him falls under the authority of his subdual, and is acted upon by his will and his command. 169. It is he who inspired the morally responsible souls regarding their piety and their impiety. He is the one who overlooks the misdeeds of whomever he wills, and takes to task for them whomever he wills, here and on the day of resurrection. He cannot be questioned concerning what he does, 21, out of his bounty, nor concerning his justice. 170. He brought forth the world with 2 handfuls, and brought into being for them 2 stations. He said, These are for the garden, and I care not, and these are for the fire, and I care not. No objector voiced objection there, for there was no existent save him and his essence. Thus the whole is under the disposal of his names. So a handful under the names of his tribulation, and a handful under the names of his bounties. 171. And had he willed, glory be to him, that the world be entirely felicitous, it would have been so. Or entirely wretched, it would have been so. But he did not will it. Thus it was as he willed. Thus among them is the wretched and the felicitous, here and on the day of return. There is no way to alter that which the eternal Judge has decreed. And he, the exalted, has said regarding the prayer, It is 5 and it is 50. The word is not changed with me, and I am not in the least unjust to the servants. 50. Meaning my disposal within my dominion and the execution of my will in my kingdom. Sentence 172. This is a reality to which sights and insights were blinded, and thoughts and consciences could not stumble upon it, save by a divine bestowal and a merciful existence, for him whom God tended to among his servants. This was preceded by his witnessing in the divine presence. Thus he knew when he was taught that Godhood bestowed this division, and that it arises from the ancient subtleties. 173. Limitless is he in his glory. There is no doer save he, and there is no existent belonging to himself, independent of God, save he. And God created you and all that you do. 37:96. He cannot be questioned concerning what he does, but they will be questioned. 21:23. Say, God's is the final argument, and had he so willed, he would indeed have guided you all. 6:149. The second testimony, 174. And just as God bore witness to his own self, and his angels and the whole of his creation bore witness to his oneness, so too did he bear witness, glory be to him. And his angels and the whole of his creation bore witness against my soul, regarding the faith in him whom he chose and selected, and whom he elected from his existence. That is our Master Muhammad, may God bless him and grant him peace, the one he sent to all mankind as a bearer of glad tidings and a warner, 34:28, and as one who invites to God by his permission, and as a light-giving lamp, 33:46. 175. He conveyed, may God bless him and grant him peace, that which was sent down to him from his sustainer. He rendered the trust, gave counsel to his community, and stood during the farewell Hajj, bidding them farewell. He preached and reminded. He inspired fear and warned. He gave glad tidings and cautioned. He promised and threatened. And he caused rain and thunder. He did not single out in this reminder anyone over another. By the permission of the one, the eternal refuge, he then said, Have I not conveyed the message? They replied, You have conveyed it, O messenger of God. He said, May God bless him and grant him peace. O God, bear witness. 176. And I believe in all that he brought, may God bless him and grant him peace, of that which I know and that which I do not know regarding the unseen. For whatever he brought concerning the decree of death is a specified term with God. When it comes, it is not delayed. We believe in this, a faith wherein there is no doubt and no uncertainty. 177. Just as I have believed and affirmed that the questioning within the grave is truth, and the punishment of the grave is truth, and the resurrection of bodies from the graves is truth, and the presentation before God, the exalted, is truth, and the basin, had, is truth, and the balance, mizan, is truth, and the flying of the scrolls is truth, and the path, sirat, is truth, and the garden is truth, and the fire is truth, and a party in the garden and a party in the blazing fire, 42:7, is truth. And the grief of that day is truth for a group, and for another group. The supreme terror will not grieve them. 21 Son. 178. And the intercession of the angels, the prophets, and the believers, and the bringing forth of the most merciful of the merciful, after the intercession of whomsoever he wills from the fire, among the people of grave sins, among the believers, is truth. They shall enter hell, then they shall be brought out of it by intercession and gratitude. And the eternal abiding for the believers and the monotheists in the enduring bliss within the gardens is truth. And the eternal abiding for the people of the fire within the fire is truth. And everything that the books and the messengers brought from God, whether known or unknown, is truth. 179. Thus, this is my testimony regarding my own soul, a trust with every person to whom it reaches, that he may render it when asked of it, wherever it may be. 180. May God cause us and you to benefit from this faith, and make us firm upon it at the transition from this abode to the abode of life. And may he settle us in the abode of dignity and good pleasure. And may he place a barrier between us and the abode of garments of tar, 1450. And may he make us of the company that takes hold of the books with the right hand, and of he who returns from the basin quenched and satiated. And may the balance be heavy for him, and may he be made firm upon the path, the ancient bridge. Verily, he is the benefactor, the doer of good. 181. Praise be to God who guided us to this, for we would not have been guided had not God guided us. The apostles of our sustainer did indeed bring the truth. 743. 182. This, then, is the creed of the common folk among the people of Islam, the people of imitation and the people of reflection, summarized and concise. Then I shall recite, God willing, the Creed of the Growing Beginner, which I have included in condensed form in the book Al-Iqtisad, the Moderation, phrased in the briefest of terms. I have drawn attention therein to the sources of evidences for this community, rhymed in wording, and I have named it the Treatise of Creeds for the People of Forms, to make it easy for the student to memorize. Then I shall recite the Creed of the Elite among the people of God, from the path of God, the verifiers, the people of unveiling and existence. I have also abstracted it in another section which I named the Knowledge, and with it the introduction of the book concludes. 183. As for the explicit declaration of the doctrine of the quintessence, I have singled it out for specific designation due to the obscurity it contains. Yet I have brought it forth dispersed throughout the chapters of this book, exhaustively and clearly. However, as we have mentioned, it is scattered. He whom God grants the understanding of it will know its affair, and will distinguish it from others. For indeed it is the true knowledge and the truthful speech, behind which there is no aim. In it the sighted one and the blind are equal. The distant ones join with the near ones, and the lowest with the highest. And God is the granter of success. There is no sustainer other than him. Connection, the beginner and the singer, Al-Shadi in Creeds, 184. The singer said, a group of 4 scholars gathered in the cupola of Aaron, the centre of the earth, beneath the line of the equator. One was Maghrebi, Western, the second Eastern, the third Levantine, and the fourth Yemeni. They engaged in a dialogue regarding the sciences and the distinction between names and forms. Each one of them said to his companion, there is no good in a knowledge that does not grant its possessor eternal happiness, nor sanctifies its bearer from the effect of the lifespan. So let us search within these sciences which lie between our hands, for that knowledge which is the noblest of what is sought, the most excellent of what is earned, the most radiant of what is stored, and the greatest of what one boasts of. 185. The Maghrebi said, I possess of this knowledge the knowledge of the standing carrier. And the Easterner said, and I possess of it the knowledge of the necessary carrier. And the Levantine said, I possess of this knowledge the knowledge of innovation and composition. And the Yemeni said, I possess of this knowledge the knowledge of extraction and arrangement. Then they said, let each one of us manifest what he holds, and let him unveil the reality of what he has claimed. The first chapter, on knowing the carrier. Standing by the western tongue, 186, the Maghrebi Imam stood up and said, I have precedence due to the rank of my knowledge. The attendees said, speak and be brief, for if you are eloquent in the primary principles, your judgment is valid. He said to them, I shall speak and summarize, and be eloquent and succinct. Section, the event has a cause, 187. He said, know that the universe was not, then it came to be, and it is equal in its right regarding times, i.e., it could have existed at any time, that the constitutor is necessary for it in the moment. Section, the judgment of what is not devoid of occurrences, 188. Then he said, whatever cannot dispense with a temporal phenomenon, its judgment is the judgment of that phenomenon, i.e., it is created. But if it exists from the world of creation and command, then let the student turn his gaze toward it, and let the researcher rely upon it. Section, Permanence and the Pre-Eternal Knowledge, 189. Then he said, he whose existence is necessary, his non-existence is impossible. And the existent who was not made impossible by his pre-eternity was not made impossible by non-existence, to rectify the opposite in the ancient, pre-eternal. For if the opposite were impossible, the inability in the corresponding part would be static. And since he was, existence was impossible upon this other, the opposite. And it is impossible that he ceases by his essence, for the condition and the firm rulings to be sound. Section, Latency and Manifestation, 190. Then he said, and whatever has its essence made manifest without necessitating a logical judgment, its being so is outwardly impossible, for it does not yield knowledge. Section, Refutation of the Transfer of Accidents and their self-non-existence, 191. Then he said, and it is impossible for properties, accidents, to populate loci, because their journey in the second instance of their existence would be to themselves, and it is not a settler. And if it were permissible for it to transfer by itself and dispense with the locus, its opposite would not render it non-existent by being lost, nor would the agent, for your saying a verb not by a thing is not said by a rational being. Section, Refutation of Events. Having no beginning, 192. Then he said, whoever stops his existence upon the cessation of a thing, then he has no existence until that thing ceases to be. And if that thing is found, then the dependent one is restricted by it, and the meaning is attained. Whosoever is preceded by a thing is restricted without it and confined, and this description adheres to him, and he has acquired eternity. Thus the specific determination is affirmed. Section, Pre-Eternity, 193. Then he said, if the judgment of the pre-eternal were essentially related to the number would not be finite, nor would existence be sound from one who exists. Section, he is not a substance, Johar, 194. Then he said, and if he were that which takes up space and fills it, he would surely vanish and not endure. Section, he is not a body, 195. Then he said, and if he accepted composition to be analyzed, or composition to be decomposed, and when the likeness falls, the disparity falls. Section. He is not an accident. 196. Then he said, and if he were to require a locus to exist by it, he would not be the other, upon whom reliance is made. And the dependence is sound. So it is invalid that his existence should depend upon his qualification by existence. Then indeed the description of the attribute is absurd, so there is no way to this not in any state. Section. Negation of directions. 197. Then he said, the sphere, even if it be vanishing, is not an essence with a direction. If the directions were to him, his rule would be high, and I am from it, outside of it, and he has been, and I am. Section. The assimilation and the where section. The settlement. Istiwa. 198. Then he said, he who settles in a homeland, his journey is permitted from it, and his transfer is established from that which he was parallel to in his essence. Thus the Trinity would limit him and measure him. This contradicts what reason was upon from before he settled. Section. Oneness, Ahadiyya. 199. Then he said, if there were, by agreement or difference, any existent thing other than two independent beings, we would not have seen in existence separation and union. And the ordainer, his ruling, is the reality. Thus this belongs to the disputant, it is not beneficial. Section. On vision, Ruya, 200. Then he said, if the thing exists in its essence, it is permissible that the possessor of the eye sees it, restricted by its face and eyelids. And there is not there any cause that necessitates the vision, according to the school of the Ash'ariya, except existence, by the structure and other than the structure, and it is inevitable from the structure. And if the vision were to influence the seen, we would have referred it to the searcher with its proofs, as we have mentioned. 201. Then the Maghrebi Imam prayed for peace after he praised God. The attendees thanked him for his brevity in expression and his exhaustion of the meanings in the subtle indication. The youth and the singer in creeds. Completion of the book's introduction. The second chapter. In knowing the subject carrying the predicate necessitated by the Eastern tongue section, power, 202. Then the Easterner stood and said, the formation of a thing from a thing is an inclination, and its formation from no thing is a capability of pre-eternity. And whoever is not refrained by you, your power is effective within him, and you do not cease. Section. Knowledge, 203. Then he said, bringing judgments into existence with wisdom establishes his existence for the one of wisdom. Section. Life, 204. Then he said, and life in the knower is a necessary condition and a standing description. Part 3 of the Meccan openings, Al-Futhuhat al-Makiyah. Section. Will, 205. Then he said, the thing, if it is before advancement and evasion, must have a specifier for the occurrence of the specific allocation, and this is the very essence of will in the judgment of reason and custom. Section. The occurred will, 206. Then he said, and were the willer to will that which is not, the what is not would be intended. Section. A will not in a locus, 207. Then he said, it is absurd that meanings necessitate their judgments in other than that which they subsist within. So take heed, section speech, 208. Then he said, whoever speaks to himself regarding what has passed, that speech is not by will, by the rule of evidence upon speech and decree. Section. Pre-eternity of knowledge, 209. Then he said, the pre-eternal does not accept the transient. Thus, were he to originate within himself that which is not of him, he would be, by the absence of that attribute, imperfect. And whoever is established in his perfection by reason and text imperfection is not attributed to him. Section Hearing and Sight, 210. Then he said, if he did not perceive you and did not hear you, great ignorance would be attributed to you regarding him, and attributing ignorance to him is absurd. Thus there is no way to negate these two attributes from him in any case, and whoever commits the assertion of negating them has committed a fearful thing, for what it leads to regarding his being impaired. Section Affirmation of Attributes, 211. Then he said, it is from the necessity of the judgment that a meaning necessitates it, just as it is from the necessity of the meaning that it does not subsist by itself, calling for one to make it avail. So beware, O disputant. The Youth and the Singer in Creeds, completion of the book's introduction. How much you struggle! This is but for your fear of the number, and this does not invalidate the reality of the one, the unique. And had you known that the number is the one, you would not have commenced disputing anyone. 212. The Easterner said, thus has the subject become distinct from the predicate, the accidental and the necessary in the divisions of this world. Then he sat. Part 3 of the Meccan openings. The third chapter. In knowing innovation and composition in the Syrian tongue section. The world is the creation of God. 2 and 13. Then the Syrians stood and said, when the originated things were similar, and power was attached to them by the abstract essence, what is the proof that extracts some of them from the possibilities? Section Earning Acquisition, 214. Then he said, when the will was attached to its objects in reality, and the originated power was not like it in the method, then that is the earning. Thus earning is the servant's, and decreeing is the Lord's, and the clarification of that is by the voluntary movement and the tremor of compulsion. Section Earning what God wills, 215. Then, he said, the power is among the conditions of bringing into existence, if knowledge and will assist it. So beware of habit, for everything that leads to a deficiency in divinity is rejected. And whoever posits in the originated existence that which is not by the will of God, he is cast out of knowledge, and the door of monotheism is closed in his face. And what is intended is the command, not what is commanded. And this is the correct view, and this is the objective. The Declaration. The Youth and the Singer in Creeds. Completion of the book's introduction section. Creating the world is not obligatory. 216. Then he said, whoever obligates God with a matter has indeed obligated the limit upon the necessary. And that is absurd regarding God in the authentic schools. And whoever speaks of obligation due to the precedence of knowledge has departed from the judgment known among the scholars regarding the necessary, and it is a correct judgment. Section Burdening with what cannot be borne, 217. Then he said, burdening with that which cannot be borne is intellectually permissible, and we have witnessed this by sight and transmission. Section Paining the innocent is not injustice by his right, 218. Then he said, whoever does not expel a thing from its reality via his ownership is not described by tyranny or injustice in what he enforces of his judgment within his kingdom. Section Beauty and Ugliness, Good and Evil, 219. Then he said, whoever is a chooser, it is not incumbent upon him to observe that which is most salutary, and this has been established as sound. The declaration of ugliness and beautification is only by the law and the purpose. And whoever says, verily beauty and ugliness are intrinsic to the beautiful and the ugly, he is a possessor of ignorance regarding the accident. Section The Obligation of Knowing God, 220. Then he said, if the knowledge of God and other than that is obligatory by one of its conditions, the neglect of which entails harm in the future, then the obligation is sound by the intellect, because it does not reason. Part 3 of the Meccan Openings. Section The Mission of the Messengers, 221. Then he said, if the intellect were independent by itself in a matter, and in a matter it is not independent, then there must be one who connects it to the independent. Thus, the mission of the messengers became impossible to do without, and that they are the most knowledgeable of creation regarding the ends and the paths. Section Affirming the Message Itself, 222. Then he said, if it were permissible for the liar to come with that which the truthful one came with, the realities would be overturned, and power would be exchanged for incapacity. And the impossible would extend to the presence of might. And this, all of it, is absurd, and the utmost of misguidance. Through what is established is the fact that the first is established by the second, in all faces and meanings. The youth and the singer in creeds. Completion of the book's introduction, the 4th chapter. In Knowing Deliverance and Arrangement in the Yemeni tongue section, the Restoration, 223. Then the Yemeni stood and said, whoever corrupted a thing after he originated it, it is permissible for him to restore it as he began it. Allusion to 21 Mawson 4. Section The Questioning of the Grave and its Torment, 224. Then he said, and if the spiritual subtlety stands with its portion of the human being, the name of living animal is valid for him. The sleeper sees what the wakeful does not see while he is at his side, due to the difference of their pathways. Whoever subsisted by life, pleasure, and pain are permissible for him. So why do you not adhere to it? Section The Balance, 225. Then he said, the substitute for a thing stands in its place and necessitates for it its judgments. Section The Path, Sirat, 226. Then he said, he who had the power to hold the birds in the air, while they are bodies, has the power to hold all bodies. Section The Creation of Paradise and Hell, 227. Then he said, the Genesis has been completed, and the edges of the circle have met before the indwelling of the circle. Part 3 of the Meccan Openings section, The Obligation of Imamate, 228. Then he said, establishing the religion is the objective, and it is not valid except with security. Thus, taking an imam is obligatory in every time. Section Conditions of Imamati, 229. Then he said, if the conditions are complete, the contract is valid, and loyalty to the covenant is binding upon the world. And they, the conditions, are masculinity, puberty, reason, knowledge, freedom, piety, courage, competence, Quraishi lineage, and soundness of the senses of hearing and sight. And this is what the people of knowledge and insight have said. Section If two imams conflict, 230. Then he said, if two imams conflict, the contract is for the majority followed. And if the removal of a deficient imam is difficult for the realization of a comprehensive corruption, then maintaining the contract is obligatory for him, and his removal is not permitted. 231. The singer said, thus every one of the four fulfilled what was stipulated, and the order was regulated. He travelled the existence and was connected. Creed of the People of Specialization. Completion of the book's introduction connection. In the Creed of the People of Specialization among the people of God concerning reflection and disclosure, 232. Praise be to God, the bewilderer of intellects, in the results of aspirations. And God's blessings be upon Muhammad and upon his family and peace. Issue 1, The Limit of Intellects, 233. To proceed, for the intellects have a limit at which they stop regarding what they are thinking, not regarding what they are accepting. So we say regarding the matter which is impossible intellectually. It is not impossible for a divine ratio. Just as we say regarding what is permissible intellectually, it might be impossible for a divine ratio also. Issue 2. The correlation between the necessary and the contingent, 234. Which correlation is between the truth, the necessary of existence by his essence, and the contingent, even if it is necessary through him according to one who says that, due to the requirement of the essence or the requirement of knowledge. And its taking is merely an evaluation of correct proofs from the existential evidences. And there must be, between the indication and the indicated and the proof and the proven, from one aspect an attachment, which bears a relation to the indication and a relation to the indicated upon it by that indication. And were it not for that aspect, what led to its indication would not have led to it ever. So it is not valid that the creation and the truth meet in an aspect ever regarding the essence, but regarding this aspect being designated by divinity. Thus, this is a judgment in which the intellects become independent by their perception. Part 3 of the Meccan Illuminations, issued to P. B. The Essence and Divinity, 235. And everything which the intellect becomes independent in perceiving, with us it is possible that knowledge precedes it regarding its witnessing. And the truth, exalted be he, is distinct from this judgment, for witnessing him precedes knowledge of him. Rather, he is witnessed and not known. Just as divinity is known and not witnessed, and the essence meets it. And how many a rational man, from those who claim the solid intellect among the scholars of speculation, says he has attained knowledge of the essence from the perspective of intellectual speculation. And he is in error in that, because he wavers in his thought between negation and affirmation. Thus the affirmation returns to him, for he has affirmed for the truth, that is, the observer, only what is upon the observer, from his being a knower, capable, willing, to all the names. And the negation returns to non-existence. And the negation is not an existential attribute, because the essential attributes of existing things are only affirmative. Thus, what this thinker obtained, wavering between affirmation and negation, from knowledge, is nothing in God. Issue 3. Knowing the restricted by the absolute. 236. How can the restricted attain knowledge of the absolute, while its essence does not require it? And how is it possible for the contingent to arrive at knowledge of the necessary by essence, and there is no unifying aspect from any face save non-existence and transience and poverty? So, if he gathered between the necessary in his essence and the contingent, a permissible aspect upon the necessary, just as it is possible upon the contingent from that face, namely transience and poverty. And this, regarding the truth of the necessary, is absurd. Thus, affirming a unifying aspect between the necessary and the contingent is absurd. For the faces of the contingent are subordinate to it, and it, in itself, allows non-existence upon itself. Thus its subordinates are more worthy and rightfully deserving of this judgment. 237. And also, if he gathered between the necessary for his essence and the contingent, a face, L, established for the contingent, confirmed for the necessary by essence, from that unifying face. And there is no thing established for the contingent. 189. The Creed of the People of Distinction. Completion of the book's introduction. Insofar as it is established for the self-existent, Wajib al-Wujud, by virtue of his very essence. Thus, to assume a unifying facet between the contingent and the self-existent by virtue of his essence is absurd. Issue 4, concerning divinity and its decrees, 238. But I say, verily, divinity possesses decrees arcam, and even if they are decrees, strictly speaking. And in the forms of these decrees, the theophany, self-disclosure, occurs in the abode of the hereafter, wheresoever it may be. For indeed, there is a divergence regarding F70b, the vision of the Prophet, upon him be peace, of his sustainer, as has been mentioned. And there has come the hadith concerning the supreme light in the rafraf of pearl and jacinth, and other than that. Issue 5, concerning will and choice, 239. I speak of the volitional decree, but I do not speak of choice, ikhtiyar. For the address regarding choice, as cited in the revealed texts, appears only in consideration of the contingent being and is stripped of its underlying cause and reason. Issue 6, concerning God was, and nothing was with him, 240. Thus I say, in accordance with what the intuitive unveiling Kashf has granted me, verily, God was, and nothing was with him. Here ends the wording of the Prophet. Upon him be peace. And whatever has been added to this thereafter is a gradient insertion, such as their saying, and he is now as he was upon that state. They intend by this a judgment regarding time and now, or that the two states, eternity and time, are equal for us, since for us, now is essentially equivalent to was, and the likes of these interpretations. But such considerations have been negated for him. 190 Part 3 of the Meccan Openings, Issue 6 B, concerning divinity and the essence, 241. And the subject of the statement, God was and nothing was with him, is truly the divinity, not the essence. And every judgment that is affirmed in the chapter of divine knowledge belongs to the essence only insofar as it concerns divinity. I mean the divinity which implies relationships and correlations. For multiplicity lies in correlations, which are the decrees of divinity, not in the concrete entities, which are the essence. And here feet have slipped for those who associate partners with God, distinct from those who accept anthropomorphism, which refers to divinity, and distinct from those who do not accept it, referring to the essence, according to their discourse on attributes. They relied in this matter upon the all-encompassing matters, which are the proof, the reality, the cause, and the condition. Thus they judged with it upon the unseen, based on the witnessed. As for the witnessed, the creation, we grant it F71a, but as for the unseen, it is not conceded. Issue 7th, concerning the primordial cloud, 242. The primordial cloud, Al-Amma, which is the world of the absolute imagination, is an isthmus, barzakh, between the truth and creation. In this sea, the contingent is characterized by knowledge and power, and all the divine names that are in our hands. And in this sea also, the ultimate truth, Al-Haq, is characterized by wonder, joy, laughter, and togetherness, and most of the cosmic descriptions. His property is returned to him, and the property of the sovereign is taken. So to us belongs the descent, and to us the ascension. Issue 8, concerning the arrival unto him, 243. Whoever desires to arrive unto him, he shall never arrive unto him save through him and by him, from the perspective of your seeking him, and by him because he is the locus of your intent. Thus it is divinity that you seek, and the essence seeks it not. 191. The Creed of the People of Distinction, completion of the book's introduction, Issue 9, concerning the one directed toward bringing into existence, 244. The one directed toward bringing into existence that which is other than God, the Most High, is divinity, with its decrees, its correlations, and its annexations, which the traces of creation have demanded. For indeed an overpowerer without one overpowered, and a powerful one without an object of power, considering validity, existence, potentiality, and actuality, is absurd. Issue X, concerning the specific attribute of divinity. 245. The specific attribute, that by which divinity is singled out, is its being powerful, Qadira, since there is no power for the contingent from its own essence at all. And the possibility of receiving the divine trace belongs to the contingent only by virtue of this. Issue Ifin, concerning acquisition. 246. Acquisition, al-Kasb, is the attachment, F71b, of the will of the contingent to doing a specific thing, to the exclusion of another. So the divine ability brings it into existence at the moment of this attachment, and that attachment is named acquisition for the contingent. Issue Dhuthin, concerning compulsion. 247. Compulsion, al-Jabr, is not valid according to the verifier, for it contradicts the validity of the act attributed to the servant. For the compulsion is the carrying of the contingent upon the act, despite the existence of refusal from the contingent. As for the inanimate object, it is not compelled, because no act can be conceived from it, nor does it possess a habitual intellect. Thus the contingent is not compelled, because the act cannot be conceived from it, from its own essence, nor does it have a realized intellect, despite the appearance of traces from it. Issue the Theen, concerning trial and well-being in the world. 248. Divinity necessitates that there be trial and well-being in the world. For indeed, the removal of the Avenger from existence requires priority over the removal of the Forgiver and the Possessor of Pardon, and the Bestower of Blessings. 192. Part 3 of the Meccan Openings. And were there to remain among the names that which has no ruling, it would be suspended mu'attal, and suspension in divinity is absurd. Thus the absence of the name's traces is absurd. Issue 15, concerning the perceiver and the perceived. 249. The perceiver and the perceived. Each of them is of two kinds: a perceiver who knows and possesses the faculty of imagination, and a perceiver, with the ra vowel open, who knows and possesses the faculty of imagination. And the perceived, with the ra vowel open, is of two kinds: a perceived one who has a form, which the knower knows by its form, and which the faculty of imagination depicts, and a perceived one who has no form. Only F70 to say. The intellect knows it, and the faculty of imagination does not depict it, and a perceived one who has a form, only the intellect knows it. Issue 15, concerning knowledge. 250. Knowledge is not the image of the known, nor is it the meaning which the known conceives. For not every known is conceived imagined, nor does every knower imagine. Indeed, conception applies to the known only regarding its being imagined. As for the form of the known being held within the state of the imagination, there are knowables which the imagination cannot hold at all. Thus it is established that it is not an image belonging to the imagination. Issue 16s, concerning action from the contingent. 251. If the act were valid from the contingent, it would be valid for it to be powerful. And there is no act belonging to it, thus there is no power belonging to it. For the affirmation of power for the contingent is a claim without proof. And our discourse in this section is with the Asharites who affirm it, alongside the negation of the act from it. Issue 17th, concerning the One. Nothing issues from him save one. 252. Nothing issues from the One from every aspect save one. And is he, then, upon this description, or not? You see, the Ash'arites, 193. The creed of the people of distinction. Completion of the book's introduction didn't attribute bringing into existence to the truth except from his being powerful, and particularization from his being willing, and decrees from his being knowing. And the fact of a thing being willing is the very essence of its being powerful. So their statement after this, verily it is one from every aspect, is valid regarding the attachment of attributes generally. But how, when they are affirmers of attributes additional to the essence, subsisting in him, the Most High? And likewise those who speak of relations and annexations. 253. And every sect has freed itself from division, finding an escape for themselves, F72T, regarding unity. But verily they are between that which is binding, from whose doctrine the saying follows logically, and between the one who explicitly states it. So the affirmation of oneness is strictly in the divinity, that is, there is no deity save He, 2.163, and that is correct, indicated by proof. Issues extant concerning the attributes, ratios and annexations, 254. The existence of the Creator as knowing, living, powerful refers to the rest of the attributes, all of those being ratios and annexations belonging to him, not additional concrete entities, ayan, leading to his being described by them, through them. For perfection. If the perfect is perfect through an addition, he's deficient in essence, complete by the addition, and that, referring to the Most High, is absurd. Being complete through his essence, thus the addition by virtue of the essence is absurd, and by virtue of ratio and annexation is not absurd. 255. As for the saying of the speaker, they, the attributes, are not him, nor are they other than him. This is speech at the limit of distance. For indeed, the proponent of this school pointed toward the affirmation of the additional, which is the other, without a doubt. Yet he denied this absolute application. Then he judged by the definition that